Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. So we know that the DWP do make mistakes. I've covered a number of stories on this channel already of people who have been subject to mistakes made by the DWP, and sometimes it can leave people in a huge amount of problems, because it can lead to huge debts that they racked up through no fault of their own. And that can cause not only extreme stress, but also cause them to go into poverty. So there's now cause, I should say, for there to be a rethink of this repayment system that the DWP has in reclaiming errors made by themselves. Now obviously this fraud bill that's coming through is looking to recoup some of that money in a more efficient way. However, if the problem has been caused by the DWP, that could cause potential problems for someone for no reason of their own, for no fault of their own. So I'm going to show you the article now, and it will go through some of the things that they are thinking could potentially be a way around this little problem. Let's take a look. Okay, so vulnerable people should not be punished for DWP welfare errors. Now it says, when C, this person's obviously not given their name, when C told the Department for Work and Pensions that she was receiving a widow's pension, she was assured that it would not affect her universal credit claim. She relied on that assurance and spent the money on daily living expenses. It took 4 years for the DWP to notice its mistake. The department then informed her that she owed £7,258. I talked with about C's case when I spoke against the Public Authorities Fraud and Error and Recovery Bill in Parliament during committee stage. But this is not an isolated incident. In 23-24, 686,756 of the new universal credit overpayment debts entered into DWP's management system were caused by government mistakes. That's what Freedom of Information request has revealed. 686,000 mistakes just in 23-24. Absolutely unbelievable. The government has introduced a bill in recognition of the harm that both fraud and error cause in social security systems. It includes the introduction of new powers which will allow DWP officials to better identify and investigate fraud, and more easily recover debts from people who have been overpaid. But key features of the bill have caused concern among civil society. The government has failed to address the elephant-sized difference between fraud and error. The Welfare Reform Act of 2012 gave the DWP the power for the first time to recover official error universal credit overpayments. This represented a significant change in the position that had previously applied to most legacy benefits. These DWP mistakes matter. The financial and psychological impact of overpayment debt recovery on individual claims can be severe. Research by Public Law Project found that recovery of debts, including official error overpayments by deductions from universal credit, led to a third of survey respondents becoming destitute. The risk of harm is particularly acute for official error overpayments, which individuals have no way of anticipating, leading to sudden, unexpected reductions in income, impacting existing fixed commitments and carefully planned budgets. The Public Law Project also found that recovery of official error overpayments brought on added sense of injustice, with the individuals finding themselves in debt due to a DWP error over which they have no control. The current system of recovering official error overpayments is broken, Andrew Weston MP said, with responsibility for the bill. He told the Bill Committee that the Department's policy to recover debts as quickly and cost-effectively as possible and to agree affordable and sustainable repayment plans. However, this is not the reality of DWP practice. Public Law Project regularly sees cases where it has taken years for overpayments to be identified, and their research shows that the DWP's default approach is to recover all official error overpayments. The onus is on claimants to request discretionary relief measures such as reduced payment rates or for recovery of the debt to be waived. This is not an easy process, and this has been recognised by the same minister. Worse, claimants are not informed of the DWP's discretion to waive recovery of debts in correspondence about their overpayments. In 23-24, only 75 of those thousands of claimants with official error universal credit overpayments had their debts waived. when the government published the bill, more than 30 civil society groups and welfare experts wrote to the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, calling for a change in the law which would mean that official error universal credit overpayments could only be recovered from individuals where they would reasonably have been expected to realise that they had been overpaid. As Shamim Ahmed, CEO of Public Law Project, rightly pointed out, no one is expecting the DWP not to make any mistakes. However, it is incumbent on the department to take responsibility for those mistakes rather than pushing that burden onto people that it should be in fact supporting. Now, this is a very good point, because obviously at the moment everyone who is overpaid, regardless of whether they knew or not, has to repay that money. Now, of course, that is taxpayers' money, as people would rightly point out, but if it's done by an official error, if it's done by a DWP, surely there should be a way for them to look at this and say, well, this person absolutely knew nothing about it, they were given the wrong advice, and therefore we should waive this debt. And I think more people should be trying to get their debt waived. I mean, I didn't realise that they were able to do that. I thought you just had to pay it back. So I think that's something that should be announced more often, that you can actually ask for it to be waived. And also I think that it acts as a deterrent to the DWP people who are doing the work. You know, if they find out that actually they can make a mistake, it doesn't matter because the person will have to pay it back anyway, that's no incentive. They should be, you know, if they're told, look, if you make a mistake, we're not going to get this money back, and have more repercussions on those people, then I think that would cause the DWP to perhaps, hopefully, not make so many mistakes. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments section. Do you agree with these proposals that if someone is found to have genuinely not known they've been overpaid by a government error, that they shouldn't have to pay that money back? Or do you think that in every circumstance they should have to pay it back, but that it should be done in a affordable way? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. It'd be very good to hear what you've got to say down in the comments section. Thank you for joining me in this video. Please do subscribe if you have got this far, because it really does help to push the channel forward. And until next time, I'll see you then.